Well, let me bring in New Jersey Democratic Congressman Josh Gottheimer, a member of the House Intelligence Committee, and he will be part of the folks who received that drone briefing. He is also a candidate for New Jersey governor. It's good to see you, Congressman.
Hey, thanks for having me.
You heard the official message from John Kirby at the White House, the police commissioner in New York City. This is usual activity. That the only thing that's really gone up is the number of people calling in about it. There's always been a lot of drones up there. Is that ultimately what's happening here?
Well, listen, the first thing I've learned is you don't insult people by telling them they're not seeing what they're seeing with their own eyes. I've heard from so many of my constituents who are sending me pictures, who are seeing things. We set up a website where people can actually send in their information that I can pass along to the Intelligence Committee and to the FBI and DHS. Because what I'm hearing pretty clearly from people is we're seeing things, but you're not giving us any straight answers. And so far, it's been drip, drip, drip from the FBI, from Homeland Security, from the FAA. And what I've called for is let's go out there and let's give folks a proper public briefing, explain to people what we think is out there, what's going on, and make sure that everyone is safe. And what I've gotten from the briefings also is I don't feel there's any imminent threat to public safety, but not a lot of great answers on what are people actually seeing. How are we making sure that these drones aren't going over, you've launched unauthorized drones going over reservoirs or airports or military bases or over their home collecting information. That's the kind of stuff I want to make sure we get the answers to for the public, and of course give local law enforcement who do an incredible job every day the tools they need to be able to monitor the skies so it's not the Wild West in Jersey, a drone activity, so they can know what's out there. And if they need to, if a large drone is threatening something like a base, like a reservoir or a law enforcement center, that we can do something about it and get those drones out of the sky safely.
So we didn't play this part of it, but the police commissioner at least has answered the question you say hasn't been answered. What are these things? Here's what she said. She said of the 2,000 drone flights a week, that's typical over New York City, granted, they're seeing planes, they're seeing helicopters. In some cases, they're seeing planets. In some cases, they're seeing commercially available drones and reporting it. What are the specific questions I'm sure that you have, that you want to ask today, and that you want to ask on behalf of your constituents? Because I'm guessing your phones have been ringing off the hook.
They have, of course. And yeah, listen, I think the question we've got to get an answer to is what are people seeing? Yes, some of them may be manned aircraft. Some of them may be people putting up their own drones. But you're talking about a lot of sightings out there, right? More than 1,000. I'm hearing scores every day from the people that I represent in northern Jersey. And I'm not just saying to them and insulting them, saying, listen, you're seeing nothing. Because I spoke to a law enforcement officer who saw something a few hundred feet in the air, a larger drone with his own eyes. So the bottom line is, where are these coming from, and making sure they're not a threat. And so far, based on the briefings I've received, I don't think there's any imminent threat to public safety. But you still have a lot of questions that need to be answered, and the public deserves that public briefing. And those are the kind of questions I plan to ask, of course, on the Intelligence Committee, where I sit in a few minutes, and on making sure there's no threats and continuing to monitor that. But the bottom line is I will keep pressing for more answers for the public in a public way, right? Public briefings from the responsible departments, the FBI, Homeland Security. What steps are we taking to make sure we protect our critical infrastructure, our airports, and our bases going forward, and giving law enforcement, local law enforcement, the tools they need to coordinate with the federal government to make sure also they can monitor going forward. You just can't have everyone flying into the Wild West up there, right? There's one thing if it's a recreational thing in your backyard, something you get for the holidays. It's a whole nother thing if you're flying up unauthorized, unwanted drones that are larger ahead and not knowing what they are. And the bottom line is people deserve answers. I've led bipartisan legislation to give local law enforcement the tools they need to be able to respond. And those are the kind of steps I think we should be taking right away.
Yeah, because the president, I'm sure you know, is calling for a bipartisan commission to take a look at this at the start of the next year. Do you think that's too late? Do you think that there is enough hubbub over this that maybe Congress will take a serious look at this even before you break?
I mean, I hope. I'm introducing legislation to ask them to immediately brief at the federal level, right? So what do I think? I think we should act now. You said commission is good, too, longer term. We should be thinking about these things, especially as there are more drones being used for commercial use and delivery and other things, right? The monitoring as they are right now for public safety measures at large events. Those are all good things, but those are authorized use of drones, and we know they're in the air. The key is getting to the bottom of any unauthorized use and making making sure that we understand and that law enforcement has the tools to respond. Again, stopping kind of any kind of Wild West of Jersey or in the country, getting to the bottom of this, but giving people information. It's that transparency and consistency that people deserve. And right now it's drip, drip, drip. Right? The Secretary of Homeland Security said, which I'm very happy he did, that people are seeing drones, right? Instead of saying, you're not seeing anything here, right? He admitted to that. But now we got to understand where are they all coming from, why the surge, what kind of stuff's out there, and just giving people answers. I think that'll make everybody feel better once they have clear answers from the government.